Welcome along on this trip to Cozumel, Mexico. We're going to do a bargain trip here in Cozumel, Mexico, and we're going to take you on a walking tour. This walking tour is going to be about 2.5 miles, and we're going to go to 9 different stops along the way. Hopefully this video will be a good video to show you some of the cheaper areas of Cozumel, Mexico, and give you an idea of what this island has to offer if you don't want to get one of the many tours that are already here. Hello, and once again we are off on an adventure, and this time we are going to Cozumel. Cozumel is an island located in the state of Quintana Roo in southern Mexico, just a couple miles off the coast of Playa del Carmen. Cozumel is well known for its tropical beauty and sees millions of visitors. Normally, Cozumel is not a cheap destination. Most activities in Cozumel cost a lot of money. But this self-guided tour is going to be a very low-cost alternative to all those package tours you will definitely see when you get to Cozumel. Those tours, by the way, are spectacular. But in this video, it's all about learning what Cozumel really is. Not only am I going to show you some interesting places, but I'm going to show you some history that most people don't know about. The truth is, Cozumel is a very strategic part of Mexico's history. To get the most out of this video, I suggest you watch it at least twice. I'm going to put in chapter headings in this video, and you can use Google Maps or Maps.me or follow along the links that I'll put in my blog. The whole idea is to give you ideas on how you can have your own personal adventure. As stated, Cozumel is an island. It is actually Mexico's third largest island. There's only 2 ways to get to the island, by boat or by plane, and most people arrive by boat. Arriving by boat is simple. Many come to Cozumel on a cruise ship, and there's many ferry boats that leave Playa del Carmen on the mainland about every half hour. What are we doing, Denise?
What are we doing? We are going out to Cozumel to see what we can see.
Okay, literally in the sea, in a blue sea.
Yep, to see what sea we can see. On the ferry.
Yeah, on the ferry. The cost of the ferry is between 500 and 600 pesos round trip, which is between 25 and 30 US dollars. We happened to take the Escaret tours, but I noticed that almost all the ferry boats were the same catamaran, just different colors. The ride to the island was beautiful. It took about 30 minutes, and the water was a mesmerizing blue the entire time. You're going to arrive in Cozumel one of 2 ways. You'll either come into the ferry terminal like we did, or you'll come in over next door on one of the ports over there. Let's see, on the ship. If you do it that way, either way, you just walk down the gangway into the port area and you'll be at Puerto Langosta, where we're going to start this tour. There are many people when you come off of the cruise terminal or the ferry terminal, as we are doing, that will offer you tours. This is just a self-guided one. The island of Cozumel was originally inhabited by the Mayans, who called the island Cozumel, which means the land of the swallows. The swallow is the island symbol, and you see it everywhere. The cruise terminal, if you cross the street here, we will go into Plaza Central. We are here now in the plaza of San Miguel de Cozumel. Like every good Mexican city, there's always a plaza. And so the plaza is kind of the highlight of Mexican culture. There's always going to be something for you to see. Of course, there's lots of knick-knacky parts over here. But let's check out the trees over here and see what's going on over there. Yep. Waste to art.
You can tell they got a lot of tourists because there's an English sign.
Yeah. So what does it say about waste to art?
It says the initiative on the islands of Cozumel and Islas Mujeres to reduce single-use plastics. So this is a pavilion, and it's a collaborative effort between a lot of people. Encourages ocean conservation through art, telling the story of Cozumel as a biosphere reserve. It also highlights businesses that are involved in sustainable practice and emphasizes the threats that the Mesoamerican reef is facing and the concrete action visitors and locals can undertake to preserve. Keep their reef clean.
Yeah, keep the reefs clean. This plaza is dedicated to Benito Juarez. Benito Juarez was a president of Mexico, originally from Oaxaca, but he was all Indian, so he's looked up to Sort of like the Abraham Lincoln of Mexico. So you see lots of Benito Juarez statues all over the place here in Mexico. Nice big open stage.
The Mayans considered the island sacred for women. They had a deity named Ixchel, and she was a very important deity.
Ixchel is a very important goddess here on Cozumel. The island of Cozumel was first inhabited around 100 BC, and the Mayans dedicated this island to the goddess Ixchel, who was the goddess of fertility and childbearing and child rearing. If you were a Mayan woman back when this was part of the Mayan Empire, well, there was no Mayan Empire, it was one of the Mayan culture city-states, you were expected to come on a canoe and travel here to Ixchel, to this statue here. And here you would pray for fertility, or if you had a sick child and you needed help raising a sick child, or just raising your child in general, you would come here and she would help you by your sacrifice of coming to the island from the mainland. Ixchel would help you. So she was very revered mother goddess here in Cozumel. Due to this island's history of being part of the history of women coming to this island, Quintana Roo and Cozumel in general has a very strong women's heritage movement here. And so that is very important as well. And then if you go over here, there's of course the Cozumel Letters. Of course, you haven't been to any city in Mexico unless you've visited the Letters. So make sure you get a picture with the letters.
Would you like a picture?
Oh, we got it. Thank you.
Arriving at the Coral Reef Monument. The Coral Reef Monument is a monument dedicated to the essential beauties of Cozumel. It was made in 1992. It's supposed to be a fountain monument, but that's obviously not working. And it highlights some of the activities that you can do here in Cozumel. Of course, you see scuba divers here, you see snorkelers, you see all the fish and the aquatic life here in Cozumel. So that's what this little monument is about here on the Malecon area, which the Malecon is basically the boardwalk, but there's no such thing as boardwalk. What's interesting is if you look at the tiles here on the boardwalk, well, I would say this is the tile walk, you can see that these tiles are made from pumice, and pumice is actually cement made from coral, and so you can see the shells in there. Those are actual shells in the tile down there. So very interesting. Around the fountain, you can see that the fountain is actually in the shape of a bird. This is in the shape of a, which of course are plentiful here. We approach Fisherman's Wharf here. There's a fun little statue of some people, some kids doing leapfrog over a turtle. I would not suggest that you do that yourself. The turtle might get a little bit angry. Plus, I think the turtles are protected here, so you might have an issue here. But we're here on Fisherman's Wharf. You can see the lanchas. These lanchas go out at night, and this is what they use for fishing here. Of course, they're already tied in at this time of the day because they go in the very early hours before everybody. So they're already in for the day. They've already brought in their catch, and we'll go to the market later and see that catch. But you can see them all lined up, and then you can see this old fishing boat that obviously got wrecked here. Kind of is turning into a coral reef in itself here. This very old fishing boat that now has been decorated out. Just across the street from Fisherman's Wharf is the Museum of Cozumel. And like us, you can come here to the Museum of Cozumel and learn about the island's history here. So let's go check that out. Operation says open Tuesday to Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we're going to check it out and see what the ticket cost is. Price for the museum was $60.
The museum not only explains the history of Cozumel, but the Mayan artifacts there are very interesting.
Very interesting. This is one of the long canoes. This is one of the canoes that they would have used to come to the island. And then over here you have a recreation of a temple. Here's the actual stone. And then this is what it would have looked like. A recreation of the temple dedicated to Ixchel, who was the goddess of fertility. So they would come here and pray for their children or for childbirthing. In 1895.
Unfortunately, the Ixchel temple, also known as the Miramar Temple, was destroyed when Cozumel Airport was built. So the only remains are those that are here in the museum.
Found here. And this one still has color on it. This one has color on it. Showing a Mayan house here, Mayan hut house.
The museum gives a great history lesson of Cozumel. In 1518, the Spanish first arrived in Cozumel, and they used the island as their base to conquer the rest of Mexico. Smallpox brought by the Spanish devastated the local population, and so after the Spanish moved to Mexico, it was largely empty until pirates started to use the island in the 1600s. In the 1840s, there was a war called the Caste War, in which local Mayan people rebelled against the Mexican government.
In 1848, there was a brief alternate government during the War of Caste, and the Republic of the Yucatan was created.
The Mexican government won, but the refugees of that war fled to Cozumel. Most of the local population today are descendants of that refugee movement.
As a result of the Caste War, the then President Porfirio Diaz in 1893 had to sign a treaty that recognized the British Honduras, present-day Belize, as an independent colony of England. They had fought on the side of the Mayans. So most of the area was retained except for Belize, which was by this war recognized as an independent area, which was a colony of England.
The main reason Cozumel is famous today is because Jacques Cousteau came to the island and declared the coral reefs the most beautiful sea life he had ever seen. This eventually prompted the first cruise ships to come to Cozumel, and the rest is history.
This exhibit here is talking about Ixchel, which comes from the sapote plant, which Wrigley came and discovered it here in the 1920s and became the basis of a major empire for William Wrigley. Have some of the original advertisements here. Peppermint flavored beech nut chewing gum. And here's the original Wrigley's ad for chewing gum, the flavor that lasts. Of the gum export, this building itself was what, Denise?
It says it was the third big hotel built on the island,
So-
Hotel Playa. And
Yeah, there behind you is this hotel switchboard.
And today it is this museum.
Yeah.
The Cozumel Museum really has a lot to offer. It's $8 for the admission, and there's a lot more that I didn't even have time to show you in this video. In addition to the history of Cozumel, there are a lot of interactive displays, and there's even a whole another section of the museum upstairs dedicated to artwork. So you really need to check this place out for yourself.
Yeah. This is the Church of San Miguel de Cozumel, who it's named after. Miguel de Cozumel is important because it was here in 1518, 3 days after they arrived. The Spanish did the first worship services here on this spot. That's what that red spot's for. This is the artist market where you can find all the handicrafts. We can go check it out if you want, but that's not the same kind of market I was looking for. The Municipal Market. The Municipal Market is where people buy their food, and you can also get good food here. So we're gonna look around and see what we can find. Maybe find some good lunch. Luncheria is the word for lunch in Mexico. So there's lots of stuff to eat here. Sure.
That's what I
Cocktail, you said? Or
Alright, shrimp cocktail, ceviche, shrimp tacos,
Okay.
something along that line.
they have that. They have all of that. We got a cocktail de camarón, but this one came in a bowl, so that's different. We're gonna try that. Oh, what's what's up? Yeah, if we came in here, we could have gotten tacos for 25 pesos. I like looking at all the fresh fruits. Walk off of the pier here. We have a pedestrian walkway. Really nice. You can just walk and see things on the touristy side of Cozumel. We're not going to buy anything here, but it's still nice to walk. You don't see a lot of wooden buildings in Mexico. Had a really good time here. We're back at the port. It's time for us to go. I hope you enjoyed this cheap day at Cozumel. I just wanted to show you that it doesn't have to always be expensive. You can do some fun things on your own. Whether you're coming from a cruise ship or coming on the ferry, it doesn't have to be expensive. So thank you for coming along.